Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll be getting started shortly. Welcome to our workshop for today with LA County Supervisor and Metro Board Chair Hilda Solis, presenting Navigating LA County and Metro Contracting Opportunities. If you have any difficulty during the webinar, please reach out to Vivian Soto at vsoto@mwis.com. We also have our account manager, Michelle Carante, who will be monitoring the chat and Q&A function, and we'll be answering questions throughout the webinar. We'll be giving everyone about 2 or 3 minutes to join, and then we'll get started shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We'll just be getting started shortly. We'll give everyone about 1 more minute to go ahead and join us. Again, if you're having any difficulty throughout the webinar, please reach out to Vivian Soto at vsoto@mwis.com. We will also be monitoring all questions through the chat and Q&A function, and they will be monitored by our account manager, Michelle Carante, and she will be answering all questions live throughout the webinar. So please go ahead and submit any questions you might have. And if you would like to enroll in the program as well, you can also drop your information in the chat, and Michelle will be reaching out to you directly. So again, we'll be getting started in about a minute. Thank you. Welcome everyone to our virtual workshop today with LA County Supervisor and Metro Board Chair Hilda Solis. We present to you Navigating LA County and Metro Contracting Opportunities. Again, our questions will be managed by our account manager, Michelle Carante, through the Q&A function as well as the chat option. If you have any difficulty throughout the webinar today, please contact Vivian Soto at vsoto@mwis.com. Again, thank you and welcome. Just a quick disclaimer for all of our attendants today. As the host of this meeting, Merriwether and Williams Insurance Services reserves the right to remove anyone participating or engaging in behavior that is either inappropriate or a distraction to the proceedings. Persons involved in such behavior will be immediately removed from this meeting and not allowed to rejoin. And I will hand it over to Ingrid Merriwether.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Wendy. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. We really hope that you'll find the information that we're going to share with you today to be informative and a good investment of your time. We know that especially as small businesses, time is really the most valuable thing we have, and you need to get a return when you invest your time, and we hope that you'll feel that way by the time we reach the end of the program, because this is all about an effort to help you generate more business, take advantage of the contracting opportunities with our program sponsors today, highlighting Metro and our newest member, the County of Los Angeles. What you see on the screen now is the agenda. So this is what we're going to cover today. And I want to encourage you to stay all the way through the program, because at the very last of the program, we actually have one of our contractor participants who wants to share with you their experience in terms of taking advantages of the resources of the program. And I know hearing from your peers is probably more impactful than hearing from anyone else. And so with that, I want to introduce really the host of today's event, and that is Supervisor Hilda Solis. She is both a member of the Metro Board, but she's also an LA County Board of Supervisors. And, you know, what I'd like to say is just kind of a preface to you hearing from her directly is, you know, programs like these and this type of effort are meant to actualize the commitments you hear from elected officials around diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is, you know, a very common refrain these days. And I think for us and maybe some of you, you know, it only becomes meaningful when it's actualized, when you have access to an opportunity that maybe you wouldn't have had before. And that comes about through policies, practices, and programs. Those are what we think are the three key areas that have to be approached when you're talking about change and bringing more contracting equity, particularly in public contracting. And that takes advocates. It takes activists and it takes advocates. And I just want to say as an intro to the supervisor that she has been so instrumental in advocating for policies, practices, and programs to actually impact equity, inclusion. She advocated for the contractor development program, both with Metro and also more recently with LA County. So with that, we'd like to hear directly from the supervisor who has recorded a welcome for you. Wendy?
Thank you, Ingrid. I'll go ahead and reshare.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hilda Solis, Los Angeles County Supervisor for the 1st District. Welcome to today's Regional Contractor Development and Bonding Program Virtual Outreach Workshop. As you all know, the past couple of years have been challenging for all of our communities. Our small businesses and entrepreneurs have felt the impact of the pandemic particularly hard. Many had to close during the pandemic, and some, unfortunately, did not or have not reopened. We're emerging from a global pandemic that has profoundly impacted our lives and that of our family, friends, and community. We hope to one day soon organize in-person workshops safely. Until then, we'll continue to keep safe and provide you with a virtual event like this afternoon's outreach workshop. Today, I am proud to present the Regional Contractor Development and Bonding Program and the services, benefits, and opportunities it provides. I'm proud to say that my motion that was unanimously approved by the County Board of Supervisors helped launch this assistance program and resource at the county. Today, you will learn the fundamentals of bonding and discover why it is necessary for public works projects and the resources available through this program. The Regional Contractor Development and Bonding Program is designed to expand your capacity as contractors and encourage your participation in construction projects throughout Los Angeles County and with Metro. This program is administered by a small, diverse business like yours, Merriwether and Williams. Merriwether and Williams understands your issues firsthand. This is a great opportunity for you to learn about and take advantage of the valuable resources available to you at no cost to your business. As elected officials, we fight hard to get this type of program implemented and help licensed contractors benefit from public contracting opportunities. As you know, working with public agencies is challenging, but this program is here to help contractors break through the barriers. The County of Los Angeles and Metro are in the midst of a major multi-billion-dollar construction boom, embarking on the most ambitious infrastructure expansion program in the country. Ultimately, Measure M will generate $120 billion to complete dozens of major infrastructure projects over the next 40 years. With the recovery effort, we have proposed an $8 billion budget this fiscal year, with almost $3 billion allocated to transit infrastructure and highway improvements. And since we are the hosts of the 2028 Olympics, there will be even more focus on developing critical projects in the near term. Now is the time for you to get involved and grow your business. Despite these historic opportunities, there are still barriers to maximize participation from companies like yours. To reduce these obstacles to small and diverse contractors, the County of Los Angeles and Metro implemented the regional program you will hear about today. We hope today's workshop will help you maximize your potential, because we are counting on you to play a critical role in the economic growth of our region. Thank you for your participation today.
Thank you, Supervisor Solis. So, you all heard it direct from the source in terms of what the universe of opportunity is going to be in the immediate future. When you combine the projects and the capital programs of LA County, of Metro, our other program sponsors, City of LA, the work that will be leading up to the Olympics, the universe is really unlimited in its potential. And all of these agencies in various forms are seeking participation of small, local, and diverse firms on these projects. There is really more demand than the current supply can meet. And so, as the supervisor said, we're relying upon you to take advantage of the resources to build your capacity. There's never been a better time to do that, because the potential for opportunity for just transformative growth to your business in the next few years, I don't remember a time that's been like this, and I've been at this for 25 years. So you're in a good place. You're here today. You're here to learn about the resources that are really designed to connect you to contracting opportunities. So with that, we're going to start with a little bit of an introduction. We're going to do this in 2 phases. I'm going to do the first phase, and then my colleague Robert Lowry will talk a little bit further. But just to give you some background about this program, and maybe starting with just telling you just a little bit about who we are. So we're a licensed property and casualty insurance brokerage firm. We've been doing this work for 25 years. And so because we work in the realm of insurance, surety bonding, and risk management, we've taken from kind of our industry standards an approach we call aligned risk management, because so often things like insurance and bonding requirements and other technical pre-qualification requirements have served as an institutional barrier. It's been a filter that has filtered out too many small and diverse businesses. And so we chose a quarter of a century ago, excuse me, that we wanted to approach our business with a different model. A model that applied risk management standards because they're necessary and inherent, apparently, certainly in public construction, but we also knew that there was a way that you could manage risk as well as engage access to opportunity. We've been involved in the public construction arena for 25 years, so we have a lot of familiarity about the structure and the nomenclature of public contracting that we share with you. We run specialty programs for small firms. As you can see, we ourselves are a small and diverse firm, so you'll find us to be a safe place to come and engage, because we can relate to many of the obstacles and the challenges that you're encountering and are looking to overcome. We've had to deal with some of those ourselves. So there's a relatability factor. We're in a position to help you with bonding, access to contract financing. And so that's a little bit about, who we are. So here are what we call the 4 pillars of the Regional Contractor Development and Bonding Program. And really the first pillar starts with assessment and technical assistance. So it's important to know that this is not a generalized program. We don't have this one size fits all approach. We know each of you are individual businesses in a unique place of the life cycle of your business with unique opportunities and unique challenges that you may need to overcome to realize those opportunities. So our process starts when you enroll, and we do a detailed, individualized assessment of your business with you. We go through queries to understand your business, where your business is at, what your goals are in your business, and from there, we develop a work plan with you that's individualized for your business that we collaborate on so that we mutually identify where the best opportunities are for you to make any improvements in areas of your business that will better position you, and then also put you in the stream of accessing some of the financial resources of the program, which is the next pillar. So bonding and contract financing assistance. So as the supervisor mentioned, bonding is just an inherent requirement in conjunction with public construction. It's a legal requirement, a federal legal requirement that public agencies who are awarding public works or public construction must secure protection for taxpayer-funded projects to have certainty that the contractor completes the terms of the contract, performs the work, pays all parties due a portion of the contract. That's essentially the purpose of a bond. And because we're dealing with public funding on public projects, that's why bonding is generally most applicable to public construction. But bonding is also a challenge. It's really a financial instrument. And so like access to capital, accessing bonding can be challenging, kind of one of those chicken and egg scenarios where, you have to have done a certain amount of public work before a bonding company feels comfortable with you. But how do you access the work if you don't have the bonds? And so we understand the nature of that kind of chicken and egg and have developed strategies and approach and resources to kind of disrupt that systemic barrier, if you will. So you will receive assistance in qualifying for bonds to bid on projects directly with the county or metro or city of LA. They're the third partner to the regional program. Whether you're bidding with those agencies as a prime or whether you're a subcontractor and a prime contractor on one of those projects is requiring a bond of you. So no matter which position you find yourself in, if it's a contract with one of those 3 sponsors and bonding is required, we're in a position to help you. We've done just in LA alone, about $300 million in bonding for contractors who are enrolled in our program. The other barrier that we are in a position to address, which is something relatively new for us, we're really excited about it, and that's contract financing. So we understand the burden when you are awarded a contract, which of course that's a day to celebrate, and everyone is excited when they first discover they've been the selected bidder for a project, and then the next day you've got the headache where you're wondering where is the money going to come from to fund your contract related expenses, realizing that you're going to have no less than 60 days of expense to carry yourself before you're going to start receiving reimbursement for those expenses through your progress payments. And so that cash flow gap, whether it be in the beginning of your contract, in the middle of the contract, Depending on the scope of work, you might have a cash flow gap all the way to the end of the project. We've developed the ability to provide you with contract financing. It's funding that's made available to you, collateralized by a contract that you've been awarded with one of these agencies, the City of LA, Metro, or LA County, that is available to you to fund your contract-related expenses. That's labor, payroll, materials, union obligations, anything that is a verifiable related expense that you're going to incur for the contract, performing the contract to prosecute the work. That's funding we can make available to you through our CDFI partners. So we have several partners. One in particular that I'll mention is PACE. We're very happy to be working with them, who have had the desire to provide funding for small and diverse contractors in the public contracting arena, but didn't really have the mechanism to do so. And so we've linked arms and created the ability of providing funding of your contracts to bridge that cash flow gap for you. You'll also, once you're enrolled in the program, realize that we have a tremendous amount of education, training that is industry specific. It's going to cover a very wide range of subject matters that are all areas that you're going to want to become versed in. It includes academies where, we'll take 5 or 6 weeks with a couple of hours each week, 2 or 3 hours, depending on the subject matter, and really get down into the details of things like bidding and estimating and contract management, not just staying on the surface of those areas, because we realize how pertinent they are to your business success. And then finally, our Prime Partners program. So for those of you who will find yourself more often working as a subcontractor to a prime, we have developed relationships with the primes in the LA area who do work with these agencies on a routine basis, and provide information to you about their opportunities. The primes will come to us in many cases asking for contractor referrals from contractors who are enrolled in the program, because they know those contractors will have supportive services with them. They'll have resources to help them bond the work if that's necessary. They'll have resources to help them fund the contract. All of these, as a prime contractor, are areas of concern. They're areas that they consider part of their own risk as the prime. So the program is designed to mitigate those risks, which should enable primes to work with small firms that maybe they don't have an established history with. Next slide. So I talked a little bit about what a bond is, but I'll just give you a little more depth in that kind of understanding. So a bond is really a 3-party agreement that guarantees contract completion and guarantees payment of contract obligations. So the 3 parties to the agreement are you, the contractor, are considered the principal. They're the party who's asking a bond of you. So if you're going to contract directly with LA County, then LA County is considered the obligee under the bond. That's to whom you have an obligation. If you're a subcontractor, then the prime contractor is that party. They're the obligee. You owe an obligation to the prime contractor. So those are the 3 parties to a bond. And as I said before, bonds are mandated by federal law. There's something called the Miller Act that says any public works construction project of $100,000 or more in value must be bonded. And most agencies have lowered that threshold to somewhere below $100,000. A bond actually also serves as kind of a pre-qualification instrument. Because when you go through the bond underwriting process, it really is a 360-degree evaluation of your firm, of all of the critical aspects of your firm. And so a bond, in a way, is a value. It's also a statement of capacity or credentials of your business as validated by a third party, a bonding company or surety company. So we always encourage contractors to not necessarily wait until someone asks you for a bond. A better time to get qualified for bonding is not in the midst of a stressful, getting ready for a bid and kind of saving it to the last minute. You don't want to find yourself in that position, because a bond is something you have to qualify for. And our ability to help you qualify for the bond, which includes things like providing collateral on your behalf to the bonding company, that takes a little bit of time. So we would encourage you to get approved for bonding in advance of actually needing it. That way you have the ability of sharing with contractors or agency owners, hey, I can bond work up to $500,000 or up to $1 million. That's a very significant credibility statement that distinguishes you from your competition. It shows you have been vetted by a bonding company, and that has tremendous value to a prime or an agency owner. Next slide. So really the purpose of the program, one of the purposes of the program, is to help you obtain bonding capacity or increase your bonding capacity. And there's really no limitation in terms of size. So businesses are in different places in terms of their status or the development of their business. We've helped contractors secure bonds of $10 million where we only had to put up $250,000 of collateral to get them there. Some smaller contractors who may be newer in business, $250,000 of collateral might translate to a $3 million contract. But there is no limitation on the contract size that we can support you with. There is a limitation on the collateral capacity, but depending on where your business is, in some cases, as little as 3% collateral has been sufficient in order for a surety to agree to provide a contractor with a bond that maybe they would not have qualified for under the surety's standard underwriting criteria. The other purpose of the program is really about capacity building. That's the goal here. So this isn't kind of, come in, we help you one time and wish you success in the future. We want you to start with us and grow with us. Our goal is for you to graduate from the program, meaning that you have independent access to bonding. You have independent access to a line of credit. And we're going to work alongside with you all the way through that journey in the goal to get you there. And in the meantime, we're going to be able to provide you with these resources, bonding, contract financing, and other technical services to help you get through that journey maybe just a bit faster. That, along with the contracting policies and practices of the agencies to create a more conducive environment for you to access their contract opportunities. For example, unbundling contracts would be an example of you having greater access. That, in concert with these types of supportive services, is how we can help you expedite your growth in a shorter period of time than it would otherwise take. When you enroll in the program, you will be assigned a dedicated account manager. So you'll have one person who is your representative, who's going to get to know you, who will do that assessment with you, who's going to get to know your business, who's going to understand any specialty areas within your trade, because they're going to also be eyes and ears for you as we're interfacing with our public agency sponsors on upcoming projects and scopes of work, as we're interfacing with the prime contractors and listening for areas of work that you in particular might perform, we're going to be making those connections on a regular basis. So you're not going to get passed around to a lot of different people who, you know, may perform some subcomponent of the program. You're going to be dedicated to a single account manager who has a portfolio of contractors that they work with throughout your duration as an enrollee in the program. And I think I covered most of the rest of that, so we can move on to the next slide. So it's just some of the criteria and some of the additional information about the program. So to be eligible for these services, really all that's required is you have to be a small business. You know, some aspects of the program, you have to officially be a small business, meaning certified, but all the education and training and technical assistance doesn't mean you have to be certified at that moment, but essentially it's expected that you will become a certified business. There's more information here about contract financing that you can see. We use the contract, as I mentioned before, as the collateral of providing this funding for you. The funds are released on an as-needed basis, but as needed means when you have the expense, not after you have the expense. So a good example for that is you get approved for this contract financing. It's March 1st and you have a payroll on March 15th. That would be a triggering point when funds for that payroll would be released through the contract financing program, just to give you a little bit of an example for that. And then again, these are funds that can only be used for a specified contract. They're not usable, you know, in other areas, but they're contract specific funding. The interest rates are in the contract financing are very competitive with market rate. I think right now we're looking at, I want to say it's about 6%, maybe 6.25%. And when you translate that into actual finance charges or cost of funding, it's actually pretty reasonable because you're only charged interest on the amount of funds that are outstanding for the period of time they're outstanding. So at the end of the day, it ends up being really a very competitive cost that gives you access to this funding. Yeah, I think I covered most of that. The contract financing does also help you build credit because this gets reported out through the credit agencies. And, you know, all of these that we've done, we've had 100% loan repayment. So all of those contractors got a nice bump in their credit scores. And so we also are realizing with that contract financing that, and working with our CDFI partners, in some cases, we've been able to fund or support other funding needs. We had a contractor, for example, we were in a position to not only fund a contract that they were awarded, but they were able to pay off a high interest, a very high interest loan they had and able to reduce their overall costs. So there's a lot of creative things that we can do. And then I think really what's key to understand about that is that it's not based on your financials and it's not based on your credit. So we don't use the standard industry underwriting criteria. We really focus on you, the contractor, your business, and qualifying the contract that you've been awarded. Let's see, this talks a little bit, I talked about the assessment and work plans. That's the start of the process. One of the things we can assist you with is creating a contractor profile. So wherever we're promoting this program through the website, to the prime partners we work with, we give them access to our contractor profiles, which is a really nice piece of collateral for you that shares your story, that talks about projects that you've worked on, that has pictures of maybe some of the projects that you've been involved in, that talks about all your certifications. So it becomes something that becomes valuable as a tool to share information about your business above and beyond what's in a certification database or on a business card. One of the other program services that we will assist you with is bid document review. So we have folks with construction management experience on the team. You're going to hear from one of them, Robert, a little later in the program. And so we'll work through a bid document with you just to bring your attention to, specific areas that may have impact on, schedule, resources, or cost. For example, we don't actually help you develop your bid. That's something that, of course, you have to do yourself, but we can guide you through the project specifications and the bid requirements, general conditions, things of that nature, to make sure you're aware of them and factor them into your evaluation. We can provide you with ongoing support through contract completion. So this is very unique about this program by comparison to others where, we don't walk away just because you got awarded the contract. We stay with you through final completion of the contract. And so we're there to help you address any issues that may arise on the project. And because we're a consultant engaged by the owner, that means we can get the owner involved if there are circumstances where the owner might be able to help us address an issue. That could be even an issue that you might be having with a prime contractor in terms of progress payments. Whatever the case may be, we're a valuable partner to you because we're in a position to work with the owner on your behalf to address issues to make sure the contract closes out smoothly. And I'd say, to the extent I can claim some success, that's been one of the most successful elements of this program, not so much about what we've done, but about what you've done. We have a loss ratio of our program that is less than 1%. In 25 years, we've only had 2 contractors ever fail to complete their contracts. And so I think that's an enormous statement about your true abilities, about the true abilities of small and diverse contractors, despite, what could be perceptions from some who question capacity and qualifications and experience. We've been able to prove otherwise because our loss ratio is dramatically more favorable than the industry loss ratio. And so that support we're going to give you through contract completion is there to make sure that you're added amongst the list of our contractors, 99.9% of them who successfully complete contracts and go on to more contracts and larger contracts. Next slide. Okay, well, that is the end of my part of the presentation about the program. You're going to hear a little more about the technical assistance shortly, but we want to kind of mix things up a little bit. And so I get the opportunity to introduce one of our favorite program partners who represents Metro. This is Keith Compton. Keith is the Director of Capacity Building and Data Integration as part of Metro's Diversity and Economic Opportunity Department. And before I let Keith talk, I just want to say that, the tagline for our firm is of like minds, and Keith definitely falls into that category because he truly believes in the development of small and diverse firms. He understands their challenges. He's an advocate, I would say an activist on their behalf to expand access to resources, to push the agency to do things in a way that are going to be more conducive for small firms. And so this is a champion. And I encourage you to, reach out to him, look for work at Metro and know that you have an advocate there. And so with that, I will introduce you all to Mr. Keith Compton.
Thank you, Ingrid. I very much appreciate it. And good afternoon to everyone, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm going to, in addition to talking about the bonding program, I want to go over our How to Do Business with Metro outreach program, because it takes more than just one program to really help small businesses, and I hope you take advantage of this program. Supervisor Solis is a huge, staunch advocate for our small business. And as you know, she is currently the Metro Board Chair, and she gives us a tremendous amount of support. So we're very happy to have her and to have this bonding program supported like it is. You might know that in 2016 and 2012, voters approved Measure M and Measure R, which resulted in Metro embarking on the most ambitious infrastructure program in the country. And that brought over $120 billion roughly in infrastructure projects over a 40-year period. The overarching objective of Metro's program is to support our goal of opportunity, inclusion, and equity, to make sure we have a representation of the businesses that make up Southern California and our country in our infrastructure program. So Metro is seeking to increase the utilization of our small businesses to foster the local economic benefit and to make sure you not only get a contract here and a contract there, but that you grow and that you build your capacity. And that's what this program really is about. We recognize that the barriers which historically have impeded participation of small and diverse contractors is, a lot of them are still there. And so Metro is committed to programs like this so that we can reduce those obstacles. So we're very proud and very fortunate, frankly, to be able to work with Merriwether and Williams to bring programs like this, especially into Metro and other agencies like LAWA and the county now and the city of Los Angeles, so that we're not doing this in a silo. We're actually working together to share resources. So again, there are billions of dollars of construction and opportunities in our region. So without further ado, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this, how to do business with Metro and navigating how to get started with Metro contracting. Next slide. So what we want to do is make sure we open the doors for small business participation. And as a recipient of federal funds, we have to report to the FTA what our contracting outlook looks like for that year and what our percentage business participation is, but we want to exceed that. And so what we want to do is make sure small businesses know who we are. We're your friends on the inside. Of course, we advocate for small businesses, but we also help you navigate Metro's procurement system. So what we want to do is put on events where we will invite contract administrators, project managers, and the like to come and talk about what they're going to have. We have our ethics departments and so forth come and talk about what's required so that you have an idea of what to expect. We also are responsible for monitoring disadvantaged business, small business, and disabled veteran business enterprise contract goals. So we report those as well. Next slide. So earlier, Ingrid talked about certification. Why get certified? In order for us to report to the FTA and even to our board, we want to make sure we are helping bona fide, authentic, small and disadvantaged businesses participate on our contracts. In the past, I'm sure you've heard horror stories about pass-throughs, companies that weren't really small or disadvantaged. I'm not going to go into that. But what we want to do is make sure we are helping the small business communities that deserve the help. We don't want to have fronts, but we also, especially on our federal side, it's required that we make sure we certify our DBEs. Next slide. So we have 3 certifications. 2 of them we certify, and that is our DBE, our Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, which can be found in the Code of Federal Regulations 49, Part 26. And we have our SBE, Small Business Enterprise Program, which is a Metro program. And since Proposition 209 happened, Metro has its own SBE program. The main difference between the 2 is you have to be one of the historically underutilized ethnicities in order to be a DBE, where ethnicity does not play into being an SBE. You have to show that you are economically disadvantaged, but you can be any race. For the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise, we do have a goal, but we do not certify. We use the Department of General Services certification. We accept that. I do want to mention that for the DBE, as long as you are certified by a member of the California CUCP, that one certification is good throughout the state. The Small Business Enterprise Program, you must be certified by Metro. That is not reciprocal. Next slide. So there is, I mentioned earlier, the economic requirement for SBE and DBE is the same. The personal net worth is less than 1.32 million. The business must be for profit. The annual gross receipts for 5-year average must be less than 26.29 million. The qualifying individual must own, manage, and control the daily operations of the business. And of course, they must be the majority owner at 51% or more. Next slide. The DBE must also be socially disadvantaged, which is what I mentioned earlier. And those groups are African American, Hispanic, Native Americans, Asian Pacific Americans, Subcontinent Asian Americans, and women. Next slide. The certification application can be found on our webpage. We use the B2G Now system for that. And people don't have to walk into the building with a truckload of papers like in the past. Everything's online. So here's the link for that. And if you have questions, we have a certification hotline. And you can also go to this email and submit your question there. We also have additional programs. Like I said, there isn't just one program that will, help. It takes a village of programs, just like people. We have a small business set aside prime program. When we have a small business prime solicitation, that means only certified small businesses, SBEs, can respond to that RFP. That way, you're not competing against the large contractors. Some small businesses said, hey, we're graduating from the program, but we can't compete with the Skanskas and the like. So we had worked on a medium-sized business enterprise program, and that's our MSZ program. We also have another program called the Contractor Outreach and Mentoring Plan. It's really a mentor protege program. I am over that one as well. And that is a program where on certain solicitations, once these contracts are let, we will put a mentor protege component to it where the prime must mentor a certain number of small businesses. This is about, again, building capacity and not just giving someone a contract. We want people to grow. We want their information base, we want their knowledge base to increase so that they can know the things that they just don't know. Instead of asking a prime contractor, hey, how come I couldn't get this? Or let the prime contractor tell you, hey, if you knew this, then I would give you more work. So that's the purpose of that. Next slide. This is our Small Business Prime program. SBEs compete only against other SBEs for projects that meet the threshold criteria from 3,000 to 5 million. The MSZ program was originally 12 million to 30 million. We're working on changing that. Some of the small businesses have given us other things to think about. So Metro will invite firms of any size to bid or propose on an MSZ contract. As long as there are 2 or more responsive MSZ bidders, then only those MSZs will be able to be awarded that contract. Next slide. So this is an idea of some of the changes that we are considering. This slide, I think we probably should have taken that out. I'm not sure what the update is on it, but our current MSZ threshold is from 12 to 30 million. We thought about splitting that so that there's 2 different tiers. There can be a 5 million to 15 million and then a 15 million to 30 million. So that's one of the changes that we've been talking about. And for the small business prime, if we could go back one. Yeah, if we could, yeah. And so for the small business prime, you can see that there is the difference. The current SB prime is 5 million, oh no, 5,000 to 3 million. Where before it was 3,000 to 3 million. For the comp program, I talked about this already. We really don't have to go over this, but pretty much we want the prime contractor to show how they're going to mentor the number of small businesses that we told them that they needed to mentor. And we review those, we score those, and there is a points, a weight on that proposal that they submit for that solicitation. Next slide. So how do you get involved with our outreach and information? Metro Connect, metro.net/connect. Go to our website, and once you register, you can fill out some information, and we will make sure you are in the know about our how to do business with Metro events, our lunch and learns, our transportation business advisory council meetings, everything you'll need to know about our Metro outreach. That's where you want to register. So I hope to see you on some Metro projects. And thank you again for attending this great source of information, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. We have another presenter, but I just wanted to make a couple of mentions about some of the points that Keith made that, you know, this is a lot of information. We realize that. I see a couple of folks have put in the chat, you know, that we're going at a fast pace. We realize that and appreciate it's a lot of content. It's kind of technically dense. And so all I can do is encourage you to enroll in the program, because that's where you're going to get access to this information in a more detailed way with support. Because, you know, your account manager, we all have gotten ourselves very versed around the different certification requirements with the different agencies, the small business programs with the different entities. And so we're there to be an individualized source for you to have this information, to understand it. And then I just wanted to point out a couple of things that Keith referenced that are just so key. And they're really in the contemporary environment we're in now, where diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that folks are looking to perpetuate. There are some things that Metro is doing that I just want to underscore, because it's the kind of practices that we talk about that are designed to increase a conducive environment. So Keith talked about Metro set-asides. We are a huge advocate of set-asides, sheltered bidding, whatever reference you want to make, but creating opportunities that small businesses compete with other small businesses, and that you have contracting opportunities to be direct with the agencies. We know that, you know, chasing prime contractors down in hopes that they'll give you, you know, time and attention. And in some cases, you're competing with your other small business peers who they may already be utilizing for that particular trade area. And so direct, accessible contracting opportunities with the agencies is something we are big advocates for. So I want to acknowledge that Metro has adopted that for some time now, and it's really kind of a game changer. And then just one other point that Keith made, and that is scoring inclusivity. It's another trend we're seeing that, you know, wherever we can, we're pushing for it. But we have seen what's possible when, you know, on larger projects, really any size project, but in particular larger projects, when the proposing teams are going to be evaluated in addition to their qualifications, experience, approach, costs. But when there is weight played on, or weight attached to how they're going to achieve the agency's goals around contracting inclusivity or workforce inclusivity, and that evaluation is going to take those into consideration, it really changes the paradigm. And we've seen some really creative and significant responses to those RFPs. So we know what's possible. And when the primes are incentivized to that, it makes a big difference. So I just wanted to underscore that and thank Keith again for all that he's doing to advocate for small businesses. So we're going to segue here because we are excited to share with you now that the county is now the third member of the LA Regional Program. We're now going to be in a position to bring some of the information some of you are used to us bringing in terms of Metro and the city. We're now get to add the county to that family. And so we're very appreciative to have the Division Manager of Purchasing and Contracting Services in the Internal Services Department, fondly known as ISD, at LA County, Christine Carr. I think she goes by Christy, she prefers. And so I'm going to pass the mic over to Christy and say welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today to learn more about the LA County contracting opportunities that we have. I want to give a special thanks to first Supervisor Solis for sponsoring this workshop, and also Merriwether and Williams. Ingrid, thank you so much for that lovely introduction and for having LA County here today, and also our partners over there at Metro. Keith, good to see you as always. So I am Christy Carr. I am the Internal Services Contracting Manager. ISD has a portfolio, ISD Contracts, under my shop anyway, has a portfolio of over 500 different contracts totaling over $550 million annually. So there's a lot of open contracting opportunities here. Today, I'm going to focus on just an overview of our master agreement opportunities that we're currently using here at LA County to provide services to all of our LA County departments. So we've got about 38 different departments here at LA County. So there's many contracting opportunities that are provided under these MAs. And I'm going to give you some important information on upcoming solicitations. And I know Ingrid mentioned unbundling. These master agreements are a result of those unbundling efforts that ISD has undertaken over the past several years. So it opens up these services countywide and for the potential award of multiple master agreements. And I know here today we are focusing on the bonding program. And so there are two specific master agreements I'm going to go over today that require 100% performance and payment bonds. As Ingrid mentioned, the county does require surety bonds to not only reduce the risk to the county, but also to you, our contractors, and also our subcontractors, and also our vendors, to not only ensure the completion of the project, but also to ensure the reimbursement of suppliers and subcontractors under those projects. And so some of these projects that require bonds here at LA County, under my shop anyway, are like HVAC system replacements and repairs, telecommunication facility upgrades, enhancements, and installs. And we're really big right now focusing on EVs, so electric vehicle charging station installations. And we, the County of LA, rely on you, our vendors and our partners, to provide these critical services countywide. So right now you're looking at our agenda. So I'm going to go through this quickly because it is a lot of information, but I've been seeing some questions come up in the chat. Yes, we're going to provide you with the slide deck afterwards. So you're going to have all of this information readily available to you via email. So I'm going to go over our solicitation requirements here at LA County, an overview of the RFSQ process, the master agreement award process, and then the subordinate work order award process, and then all of our open contracting opportunities for these MAs. And then I'm going to go over, like Keith did, our website information and contact information, and then some best practices and how we're contracting right now during COVID. So I feel so lucky to work here for the county because we're one of the most diverse counties in the nation. And I'd love to always highlight some interesting facts about LA County before I get into our process. We are the largest county in the nation with over 10 million residents. The county has about 100,000 employees, and we have 38 different departments. And so these master agreements, like I said, provide services to all of those different departments. And not only do we have lots of opportunities here with ISD, but we've got a $6 billion spend here in the county roughly annually, and that's with contracts, services throughout our departments. So our process, we have the LA County procurement process. We have two processes, one which is purchasing for those tangible goods and supplies, and then two, which is service contracts. And so while LA County is decentralized, each department manages its own solicitations. However, ISD, my department, acquires a lot of services on behalf of its 38 different departments. We typically solicit and contract for general services, energy-related services, facility-related services, and IT-related services. And so our solicitation requirements include that we ensure contracting policies and procedures are followed and maintained, and that we create a fair, level playing field for all of our vendor community, you, to compete for county business. We also ensure, we talked about it a lot here today already in this workshop, maximum participation and competition. We really, really encourage competition and participation from all of our vendors. And that's why we participate in these workshops. We try to get the word out there about our solicitation contracting opportunities. And then, of course, ensuring the integrity of our solicitation process and that we conduct business with responsible, but also responsive vendors. And then next slide, please. So our solicitations. So today I'm going to go over our RFSQ. The county loves its acronyms. So an RFSQ is a request for statement of qualifications. You can find all of our open contracting opportunities at this website that you're seeing here in blue. So not only ISD's contracting opportunities, but all of our contracting opportunities are posted here. And we use an RFSQ when we need to establish a pool of pre-qualified contractors, and we use specific project requirements and statements of work at a subordinate process when we define our individual process at a later date as customers come to us and when services are needed. And then qualifications under these RFSQs and the subordinate work order solicitations, as we typically call them, may include different licenses, specific certifications, etc. And so what we do is we set defined minimum qualifications in the RFSQ, and then vendors that are available and also willing to perform this work can be solicited on an as-needed basis and also can apply at any time. So when there's a need for a service to be provided with a specific project, that's when we will identify that category for service and describe that scope of services and any background information. So for example, an RFSQ may include various categories for a vendor to qualify in. And you, the vendors, have an option to qualify in one service category or multiple service categories. And I'll go over some of our master agreement opportunities here in a minute. And next slide, please. So then to respond to a request for statement of qualifications, our RFSQs, we request an SOQ, and this is a statement of qualification. And this indicates your minimum number of years of experience and type of experience and other qualifications that are necessary to qualify and also be awarded a master agreement with LA County. In this SOQ, we also ask that you specify different skill levels and certifications that we require in that RFSQ, and also minimum qualifications, which may include licenses as well. And we also require in the SOQ process that you submit references for the categories that you're submitting for. And then next slide, please. So here's our workflow. I'm going to go over just high level. This is our master agreement solicitation process workflow. So first, we post the RFSQ solicitation on our public-facing Doing Business With Us website that I showed you earlier. Then we ask that you submit a statement of qualification in response to that RFSQ solicitation. We then evaluate your SOQ. We qualify you. Then we award you a master agreement, and then you are added to that service category. Then when one of our county departments, for example, DHS, the CEO, DPSS, libraries, etc., whenever those county departments need services, they'll identify those and they'll create a statement of work for those specific services. Then we release a subordinate solicitation. We award either a purchase order or work order based on either low bid, or sometimes we also evaluate based on factors other than cost. And then once that work order is awarded, you perform the work. So it's like a mini streamlined RFP. And then next slide, please. Okay, the work order award process. So this is what we look at when we're awarding a work order. Evaluation methodology for work orders may vary and does vary with a lot of our work orders. And it typically consists of 4 different components that you're seeing here. And it's weighted, factored on the following: either cost, quality and responsiveness, candidates' qualifications and references, and then also sometimes we require demonstrations. There may also be additional evaluation components specified in the work order, for example, like a business proposal, approach, etc. And so overall, we select and make an award on the proposal or bid that is deemed to be in the best overall interest of the county, and either based on low bid or the highest ranked through an evaluation process. And then individual work orders are governed by the terms and conditions that are set forth in that master agreement. And so we defer typically to that MA for those requirements. And the next slide, please. Okay, we have a ton of contracting opportunities here at LA County under ISD. So these are a lot of our contracting opportunities that we have open right now through master agreements. I love master agreements because they are, one, they're unbundled work, right? So it creates for greater contracting opportunities. And you're also bidding against a much smaller vendor pool. So the competition within these master agreement solicitations is much smaller. Also, I love these master agreement opportunities because they're open and continuous throughout the entire term of the master agreement. So what that means is, let's say we award a master agreement for 3 years. You have 3 years to submit your statement of qualification and be awarded a master agreement. So there is no closing date typically with a master agreement. So these are our master agreements that I'm going to go over with us today, and I'm going to kind of fly through these because there's a lot of them. I just want to show them to you, and so that you know, you're aware of them and know that they're out there and available for you. And next slide, please. And next slide, please. All right. The first one is our DESMA. So this is a disaster and emergency services master agreement. This one doesn't require bonds. But I wanted to give you the information on this one. It's open and continuous. Here's the solicitation information and also the contact information for this contract analyst. This master agreement is for exactly what the title says, right? It's for disaster and emergency services. We used it a lot for fires, responding to fires, also throughout COVID. Vendors in this master agreement must be able to respond within 24 hours. And it's a pool of qualified contractors that we utilize to support critical operations of county facilities and to ensure that county facilities operations can be responded to during emergencies and do not cause interruption to county services. This master agreement also is used to maintain an effective continuity of operations for countywide the Office of Emergency Management as well. And then next slide, please. And so here are the different DESMA categories that you can apply to. Again, you can apply to one or multiple categories, and these are for as needed services. So you're seeing here the categories and also new categories that we just added. So for example, debris removal, fire and life safety, high wind protection, high voltage repair. That one actually comes up quite a bit. Power plant repair, relocation services, that one's being used a lot right now as well. And then our new services, security and traffic control services. Okay, and then next slide. The next one, I am anticipating we're going to have probably a lot of vendors on this call today in this workshop providing these services. This is our facilities ancillary services master agreement. And this is FASMA, and you're seeing the solicitation information on the left, and then our contract analyst information on the right, if you're interested. And then next slide. Okay, these are the categories for our FASMA. This is all facilities ancillary services. So they're all as needed. And I'm sure these services are probably going to hit home with a lot of you vendors today. Abatement, consultant services, water and rubbish removal, as needed custodial services, plumbing services, HVAC services, door repair, fire alarm maintenance and repair, and painting services, just to name a few. I didn't go through the whole entire list, but you're seeing these are the service categories under our FASMA. And this is countywide, okay? All right, and then our next master agreement is our Energy Efficiency Project Services Master Agreement. This master agreement does require bonds. So we have 100% performance and payment bonds required on the majority of the projects that we award work orders on under this master agreement. Again, same with all the slides here that we're going to be seeing. RFSQ information solicitation number is on the left, and the contact information here is on the right for this one. And this master agreement is used to solicit as needed services to provide energy efficiency project services throughout the county. So I mentioned our EV work. All of our EV Electric vehicle installs are solicited and awarded through this master agreement. All of our energy enhancement services, like if we're doing energy enhancements for HVAC or windows, etc., those are solicited through this master agreement. Really big right now are those EVs. And so these are the ETMA categories that you're seeing in front of you right now: retrofit, design and install, renewable sources and distributed generation services, design and install for cogen sites, design and install for plant and integration and decommissioning and retro-commissioning services, demand response design and installs, demand reduction design and installs, miscellaneous systems, and then water conservation. And so those are the service categories under our ETMA. And again, these do require bonding, surety bonds. Okay, next slide, please. And then next slide. Oh, I'm sorry. Telecommunications. This is our TESMA. This master agreement also requires bonds. It only requires bonds for one of the service categories, which is has the install component. And so this is our telecommunications equipment and services master agreement. You're seeing the contact information, solicitation information here on this slide. And then if we can move to the next slide. And then these are the categories under the telecommunications master agreement. So the first category that you're seeing here on the left is the one that requires bonding. So this is our category to furnish, install, and maintain telecommunications equipment. And you're seeing a little bit of a description of the services under there. So it's furnishing of the equipment, so procurement and furnishing of the equipment, install of the equipment, and then the maintenance services during and after potentially of the warranty period. Category number 2 is just the maintenance of telecommunications equipment. That one does not require bonds. That's repair services, equipment modification services, etc. And then category 3 is consulting services, software design, project design, software deployment, assessment services, etc., all for telecommunications. So this is like CCTV, this is building out of conference rooms. So these are the types of services that we solicit under our TESMA. And again, this one is county-wide. We typically award about $200 million a year under our TESMA. So that one's really, really big for us. And those are either fixed price, deliverable based, or T&M, just so you know. Okay, the next one, I'm not sure if this one's going to hit home with some of you, but I just want to put it up there because it is an opportunity. This is our ESMA. No bonds required on this one. This is an IT master agreement. So it's an IT enterprise services master agreement. Solicitation information, contact information on this slide. And then let's go into the next slide, please. And these are the categories. So these are all project-based IT solicitations, strategic planning, project management, requirements and analysis for solicitation development, consulting, risk mitigation, and IT transformation services. So these are the categories under this master agreement. All right, and the next slide, please. All right, and then we have another telecom master agreement. This one's a big one. This is for like internet services, data network services, etc. And if we can go into the next slide, please. There we go. Okay. So these are the categories under this telecommunication services category. Like I said, data network services, secure web gateway, UC cloud, VoIP services, cloud contact center, and legacy services. Legacy services includes like circuits and trunks, etc. All right, next one is our LISMA. Does not require bonds. This is just language interpretation services. And this is for over the phone and also person-to-person and video conferencing interpretation services. And these services are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I wanted to flag that for everyone if you're interested. And these are the categories: Spanish, core language, and medical interpretation services. And next slide. Okay, and then we have our document storage master agreement. This one is also open and continuous. You're seeing the information here, contact information and solicitation information. And then I'll go into the next slide with the service categories. Okay, the service categories on this one are paper records, vault storage services, and a big one right now is our new category for scanning services, especially right now with COVID, everyone working remotely. There's a huge need countywide for scanning services. No bonds required. And here's a little bit of information on the service turnaround time here that you're seeing in the table below. And the next slide, please. And that one's a little bit smaller of a master agreement. It's about $2 million a year, but it does include labor. So it includes labor, storage facilities, and utilities also. All right, and then we have our small office equipment maintenance services master agreement. And you're seeing these 15 categories in front of you right now. This one, we award approximately $400,000 a year. This is for as needed small office equipment repair. It's T&M, so it's time and material basis. And this is for mainly like one-time break, fix, and repairs for different equipment here at the county to bring it back to its normal working condition. And you're seeing the various categories here: cash registers, personal equipment, desktop copiers, fax machines. Yes, we still have fax machines. That's surprising. Shredders, etc. And the next category. Different service levels. We have different service levels set forth here. And again, we're going to share these slides with you. So I'm just going to kind of go through these pretty quickly so you have this readily available. And next one is our transportation services. As needed transportation services. This is for drivers licensed in California, specific trips, routes, other details we describe in the statement of work. But this is countywide services. Okay. And next slide. Here's a little flyer on this one. This one's a new one for us here at ISD. So we put together a flyer to kind of highlight the services. Like I said, it's per mile basis and fixed route. All right, and then we have a couple ongoing as well. Elevator and escalator repairs. We do occasionally require bonds under this master agreement. And then we also have energy support services master agreement. Those are more energy consultant services, and those do not require bonds. Okay. And then those are the subcategories in that ESMA that I just gave you. All right, and then I wanted to provide you guys with a little bit of information on registration. So in order to do business with the county, very similar to Metro, you have to register. So this is information on how to register as a vendor to do business with the county. Here's the contact information on the left, and here's some various resources for you. The county's public-facing website information right there, doing business with us. Vendor registration, there's our link there. Open solicitations. Like I said, we post all of our open solicitations online. That's where you can find that. And then Department of Consumer and Business Affairs. We also have small business programs, just like Metro does. And so you can take a look at those different small business programs there. Local small business programs, social enterprise, community business enterprise, and DBBEs as well. And here's a couple of screenshots of what that site looks like. So when you go to our county's public facing doing business with us website, this is the landing page. This is what you're going to see. And that's where you click to find our open solicitations. You do just a keyword search there, get the search results for the solicitation. And then that's what you're going to see, the contact information for that analyst. And then you're going to pull up those files for the solicitation. And that's the RFSQ files. And then here's some tips to respond to solicitations that I have. I always like to give everyone some tips, some good takeaways. Review the solicitation thoroughly. Always attend our conferences. If we're hosting a bidders or proposers conference, make sure you attend. Ask questions, because any questions you ask we'll always respond to, and understand the statement of work requirements and make sure that you clearly respond to those. We're not mind readers, so make sure you put it on the paper. and read the sample contracts. We always attach a sample contract or sample master agreement in this case, so become familiar with our county T's and C's. Contracting during COVID. Gosh, we've all had to change the way we do business. This is what we're doing still. Gosh, we're still in the pandemic 2 years later, man. Can you believe it? We're virtual now. So as we are today with this workshop, we are hosting also virtual proposers conferences, virtual job walks with videos and pictures. We've implemented e-signature to execute our contracts, revised process for live scanning and badging. We're now including FEMA provisions in our contracts so we can seek reimbursement from the federal government, and hosting virtual debriefs and electronic submission for our proposals as well. So that's a little bit about how we've changed, as I'm sure you have as well. And that's all that I have for you guys today. I know this was a lot, but we've got a lot of opportunities out there. So check out our website, check out our open solicitations. And Ingrid, thank you so much for this opportunity.
No, thank you, Christy. I got to say, my eyes are glazing over a bit. It's a lot, but what came through was a tremendous amount of opportunities under the master service agreement, contracting method, which I just want to encourage firms to not be afraid of that, because the value is once you get through the initial process and get on the list, you've done the hard work already. Now it's just waiting for opportunities in your scope of work that then you respond to. So it's kind of an investment up front, but it seems like it's one that can pay off because you're now on a list, and as those services are needed, you've already done a good part of the pre-qualification. You may just have to submit a cost or some other elements, but it's simplified from that point forward. And so that's one of the services that we're hoping to help you with, is to understand the requirements under the master services agreement and help you have, the ability to meet those requirements, because those are significant opportunities. And Christy, thank you. We're very happy to have you here today. Thank you for sharing a tremendous amount of information. I have a feeling if we had more time, you could talk a lot longer, because I know there's even more beyond what you shared. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. And Wendy, turn it back over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to pull up a polling question. Let's see.
While she's pulling up the question, I just want to let you all know we're watching the time. Our goal is to end as close to 5 as possible, but we will probably go a little bit over. And I just want to encourage you to hang in there with us. We've got a little bit more content to cover. And as I said, we have a special guest at the end of the program that I think you're going to want to hear from. So hang in there with us and we'll get through the rest of the program pretty quickly.
Just a polling question. If you would like to enroll in the program in order to receive free technical assistance and resources, we'll give about 15 to 20 seconds for everyone to respond. And then you also have the option to reach out to Michelle Carante directly through the chat function with your contact information. And then she will be able to reach out to you directly if you would like an account manager to go ahead and do that. So we'll give another 8 seconds until closing. And we are closing the poll. Okay, Ingrid, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, and I'm going to just not waste more time and hand it off to Robert. I shared with you the front end of our presentation on the contractor development and bonding program. Robert is on the back end. He's focuses in some cases after you've been awarded a project. So we talk about this project completion support and other areas of technical assistance. So Robert's going to spend a few minutes to share what that looks like for you. Robert?
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about our support as technical support once you get on a project and before. So if you're going to be bidding on a project, we do a bid document review. And there's a little bit of a disclaimer there that, we are looking at the content, not your numbers. We're making sure that you're the most responsive bidders, because there's a lot of paperwork that forms that needs to be filled out. So we'll go through those forms, look at it, make sure that you're not missing anything, make sure that you have the signatures. So that is kind of the bid document review. And then also we'll attend the pre-bid, and at the pre-bid, I will also obtain the plans that I can review, and also, you know, highlight some red flags just to make sure that you're aware of what's going on. And also help you identify some risks, because that's the whole thing, is to minimize the risk so that you can successfully complete the project, especially if there is collateral and your bond is here. And then after we have done the first round of the bid document review, we'll do a second one to go through just to make sure that you did capture everything that we talked about. A lot of times this bid document, wait a minute, hold on. Sorry. A lot of times this bid document review is done in conjunction with your account manager, myself. So then after the job is done, we will do a debrief if you were not successful, you know, point out some things so you can have a better chance after, you know, your next go around. So the next slide here is the contract support. So once you are awarded a project and you have been entered into a contract, you know, we have what's a project kickoff meeting where there is a job start checklist that I have that I can go through with you to make sure you have identified everything that you need to do properly so that you're not missing anything. We also, during this kickoff meeting, have contract status reports. So it's a monthly check-in that I do to make sure that, you know, you don't have any issues going on in the field or in back of the office. We can do some site visits, you know, look at your billings and payments, your change order requests, your schedule, because we want to make sure that there's any barriers out there that we can get rid of those so you can successfully complete the project. And as I was saying, we do site visits where we can kind of look at some of the safety matters that's out in the field, give some recommendations. It's just, you know, constructability. Work with, if you're a subcontractor and you're with the GC, meet with them and see if there's any ways we can improve the communications and the report is in the field. Like I said, and we will do the change order log review, make sure that you are getting those submitted, approved, and get it paid. And we also will do your closeout, because that's an important thing to close out with your final payment, getting retention. Then after everything is zeroed out, then we can release the bond. So like I said, we are with you from beginning to end. So that is what we do on the contract support. So that's it. So next I'm going to introduce William Jackson, the president of Global Electric. His company has enrolled into the program and they have been one of our rock stars. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, William, to do a little bit of a testimony. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I guess I need to kind of begin at the beginning, and just to let you guys know who I am. I'm William Jackson, and I am the founder and president of Global Electric, and we are a electrical C10, C7 contractor, and we focus primarily on transit projects. And we have we've kind of found a nice niche, and normally I would say you'd want to diversify a little bit, but because there is so much opportunity in the transportation systems here in Southern California that you know, we've really had a great marketplace, and we've been doing a pretty good job of kind of penetrating that and letting some of the larger GCs out there know our capabilities and what we do. Like most small contractors, it was a bit of a tough start. You know, you're trying to figure out, you know, how do you bid some of these large projects? You know, how do you eat an elephant? You know, so it was a little challenging at first, trying to figure out how to get the bids put together, all the documentation that was required, and really how to get a price that you could stand behind and not get yourself in trouble, because a lot of these public works projects, the cycle times are so long. You may bid a project today that may not happen for a year or even 2 years. And that's kind of what we ran into on the projects that Merriwether and Williams helped global with recently. And I must say, we've taken advantage of pretty much every program that they've mentioned today. And frankly, a lot of times you think these programs are just lip service, but I'm here to tell you that these programs are real and they work. And I've been benefited from I would say, all of them, if not most of them. So just to let you know, as a small business, my finances were not fantastic, and I had my entrepreneurial scars, and it made it a little difficult to qualify for a bond by myself. But with the help of the Merriwether and Williams team, and I've worked with Navi and Robert and Rick Castillas, and on the bonding side of it. And I met these guys years and years ago, and we stayed in touch, and I filled out my bonding paperwork, and I still couldn't quite, find that right opportunity. But when we did find it, most recently, it was a large project. It's right about $3 million, which for us is a pretty large project. And I wasn't confident that we'd be able to bond this project, because that's a pretty sizable bond for us. And with the help of the Merriwether and Williams bonding program, I was able to get the collateral I needed to make the bonding company feel comfortable with approving our bond and supporting us on this project. And not only did we get the collateral support, but I believe there is a funds control portion that needs to happen. It has to, it involves funds control to kind of make sure the money goes where it's supposed to go. But even that, there were some dollars that were available to help me pay that cost. And so we were approved for the bond. And now that we've started the project, we needed some seed capital to get going, because as you know, the cycle times on these public work jobs can be, before you get paid after invoice, you may be 60, 90 days out before you see a progress payment. So it's pretty tough to cash flow these jobs. So with the CFAP program, I was able to get a line of credit. And frankly, I was able to do 2 projects because I happened to start 2 metro projects at basically the same time. And Merriwether and Williams and their partners like Jennifer Whelan and John Miller on the CFAP side were very, very instrumental in helping us put this program together so that I could benefit from not only a line of credit, but we also, I think I was the contractor that was mentioned, that I also had a very expensive loan that I had to get just to get me through the tough times there. We were able to pay that loan off and get me a very good, very low interest rate. And so now that's much more manageable. It's much cheaper money. So really the financial side of my business is really is in much better shape now because of these products and services. And I just can't say enough about how helpful the team was. And they put me in a great position. And so now we've got a couple of large metro contracts that we're moving forward with. And we hope to be very financially successful, complete the project and do a good job and maintain our relationships and maintain our ability to win other bids in the future and be able to bond them and finance them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. We appreciate you sharing, your experience today. As I said before, it's really hearing from you that has more impact than hearing from us. When firms can relate to the experience that you described and kind of the bumpiness of the road that you've had to travel, I think it resonates more. And to hear from you directly that, you've benefited from the resources. That's what we want folks to understand. This is not a lip service program. This is really about providing you with the technical support, the financial access to things like bonding and contract financing. And it's not like you have to wait until you get to a certain stage in your business. We realize that, you need the support while you're growing, while you're getting there. And so really that's how the program is designed. It's to help you build capacity, start with where your starting point is, but put you in a position to optimize the opportunities you have at hand. And then I think one thing you might agree with Mr. Jackson is even in that process, so providing the contract financing, there might have been new tools that you gained from along the way as well. Beyond the money, you had maybe some new looks at strategies of tracking contract, project, cash flow, and things of that nature. So we really try to build in kind of the training aspects of this, the capacity building in concert with actually providing you with the resources you need. I think they have so much more impact. It resonates more when you're not sitting there struggling, you know, about how am I going to make payroll next month? And so really we try to combine that. And I just want to thank our partners at PACE. William mentioned Jennifer Whalen, and she and others at PACE have been so instrumental because they're the funding source. And, you know, this is not Merriwether and Williams money. This is not Metro's money that's provided with contract financing. This is through our CDFI partner PACE. And so it's been a great partnership where we're able to bring them the ability of mitigating risk and contractors who've been awarded contracts, and they're in a position to use their resource capacity, which is loan funding, to provide contractors who are participating in the program who've been awarded contracts with that critical working capital to bridge that cash flow gap between when you start work and when you start getting paid. So thank you again, Mr. Jackson. We wish you success on your project, and thank you for sharing your experience with us. So we tried to address questions as we went, and just given the hour, folks, your stomachs might be growling, your body clock is telling you you're supposed to be shutting down your computer now and getting ready for your evening and dinner. So we don't want to hold you any longer, but we want to thank you very much. We've got one final poll question. I'm being cued here, or is that true? Do we have one more poll question? So we'll ask you to fill out the poll question, and then after that, we'll say thank you. And I think we shared with you that we're going to send out a copy of the PowerPoint, and I think we're also going to make the recording available to you. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Wendy, and thank you all again for participating today.
Thank you, Ingrid. Our final polling question is, what subjects related to technical assistance would be beneficial to include in future workshops? And then we'll give it another 15 seconds for everyone to respond. And we'll go ahead and close it.
So thank you all again for participating. Just watch your email inbox. You'll see, you know, a lot of information that comes from us. We hope we're not overloading you, but we'd rather err on the side of that than you not having access to this information. So we send out something we call a LA Contractor Weekly, telling you about contracting opportunities, other types of workshops or forums that you might want to participate in. Everything is oriented towards small contractors and small firms. And so just, you know, try not to let our stuff go to spam, because you never know. There may be information about a contract opportunity ideally suited for you. So thank you again. You all have a good evening, and we look forward to seeing you back in our next forum.